Selling cars in Australia is hard. Actually, that's not true at all. If you're selling SUVs or utes, it's really easy. If you're selling small cars, it's extremely hard because not only do people want to buy those other things, but they've also got the Corolla to buy without having to think about it. This is the Kia Cerato. It's Kia's challenger to the Corolla. Now, it's been with us for about 3 years now and it's still selling, and it was time for a facelift. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Not much has changed. When you're making whole new cars like Seltos, Sportage and Sorento, you probably need to take it a bit easy. The third generation facelift came to us in 2018. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I quite like this facelift. These new headlights, they roll into this grille. This is the GT, so it's got these red bits on it to make you know it's a bit fast. I really like these double LED, and on this car, they're the turn signal, which is kind of clever. You know, you get all the fake aero stuff like the air dams and blacked out stuff, and on the standard cars, it's just a little bit less black, basically. Brand new logo. There's been a lot of chatter about this, hasn't there? I've decided that on the car it looks really, really good. It's really growing on me, and it's kind of a whole kind of design stuff that Kia's been going on about. Don't underestimate that. One of the reasons Kias sell so well is because they've become a really design-led company. It's just a bit better, a bit more fresh, a bit more contemporary looking, because the old car looked a little bit old man. Around the side, almost nothing has changed, with just a new set of alloys for the mid-spec Sport and Sport Plus, and around the back the hatch is almost exactly the same, while the sedan has a new bumper and a cleaner look. It's hardly a saucy minx, but it's not ugly either, and I reckon the rear of the hatch is quite striking, if you're into that kind of thing. Also new, you get a bunch of new safety features depending on the model. The GT gets a sunroof, which people are very keen about, and I'll tell you something I'm keen about. The rear seat passengers get air vents. Prices are up by between $500 and $600 depending on the non-turbo model you buy, while the GT is up about $1,100. And oh, there's the big new screen in everything but the entry level. Want to see it? You'll just have to wait. The Kia Cerato is Kia's top-selling nameplate, with 155,000 sold since 2003. It's still selling at the rate of $1,500 a month, and 60% of those are hatchbacks. 20%, so about $300 a month, are the top-of-the-line turbo GT-powered warm hatch or sedan. The 6-speed manual S is gone because so few people bought it, and because Kia couldn't fit the upgraded AEB, which would prevent any of the cars scoring 5 stars due to some arcane ANCAP rule. The 6-speed automatic S starts at $25,990 with 16-inch steel wheels, and the safety pack adds $1,500. The Sport gets alloys, goes up to $27,490, and again adds $1,500 for the safety pack. The Sport Plus goes for $31,690, doesn't need the safety pack because it's already got heaps of that, and the turbocharged 7-speed twin-clutch GT jumps to $36,990 with big wheels, sport suspension, and a lot of grrr. Like the outside, not a lot has changed on the inside. Here in the GT, you can see this flat bottom steering wheel. The rest of them have a normal round one. And of course, it's got the new Kia badge. It's the big screen. This screen is really good. It's 10.25 inches, it's massive, and it's in all but the base model S, which gets an 8-inch screen. Now, the weird Kia thing where the big screen only has wired CarPlay, it's all still happening, but the base model gets wireless CarPlay. Up here in the GT, you get wireless charging, which is really annoying because you don't have wireless CarPlay. But look, it's a really good cabin. You've got storage, you've got bottle holders, cup holders, little slots and things for keys, a double deck shelf here, USB port, dual zone climate control, depending on the model, of course. It's really, really nice in here. It's not the greatest interior on earth, but it's one of those interiors that it's easy. Everything works, you get in, you go, no drama at all. Back here, it's pretty roomy. I mean, it's not a huge car, but I'm sitting behind where I drive. I'm just under 6 feet tall, and I've got plenty of room for my knees, and my feet are under here. You've got an armrest with cup holders. You've got bottle holders in the doors, the rear vents again. Now, don't laugh. It's 2021. You should be getting this stuff in the back here. USB port for charging. Oh, it's quite comfortable, and this leather interior, it's not real leather, it's fake leather, so if you're after a vegan interior, this might be the car for you, and you get cloth in the S model. Amazingly, it's got a boot. It's free. It's all part of the service. Anyway, this is the hatchback. It's 428 litres, which is a pretty good size for any hatchback on the market. And if you get the sedan, you get 502 litres. It's also a good shape. It's just straight sides. In you go, and you got a 60-40 split fold. As usual, ANCAP's weird rules have made all this a bit confusing. The S and Sport are 4-star ANCAP rated because they don't have what Kia calls Fusion AEB, which is a combination of radar and camera detection systems. But when you step up to the Sport Plus and GT, which have all the good stuff as standard, you have a 5-star rating. Now, if you want to know all about the safety stuff, read the written review, which is linked in the description below. But I will tell you one thing before you have a look at that. Rear cross traffic alert should be standard on all cars, not just the Kia Cerato, and the Fusion AEB should be too, because sometimes it's not all about you. There are 2 engines in the Cerato range, all but the GT score the unchanged carried over. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. 2-litre 4-cylinder with a traditional 6-speed auto. Power is 112 kilowatts at 6,200 RPM, with torque coming in at 192 newton meters at 4,000 RPM. It's a does the job kind of engine, and Kia says it will use 7.4 litres per 100 kilometres in the hatch and 6.9 litres per 100 kilometres in the sedan. Also unchanged is this, the 1.6 litre turbo 4-cylinder. That spins up 150 kilowatts and 265 newton meters of torque. That goes through to the front wheels via a 7-speed dry clutch, twin clutch transmission. It's not the new 8-speed wet clutch. Sorry. Whether you choose the 2-litre or the 1.6 litre turbo, your first 7 services will cost you exactly the same, which is $3,295 or roughly $470 per service. The prices bounce around a bit. There is a notable difference though. While the 2-litre needs to go back to the dealer once every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, you need to return the turbo every 12 months or 10,000 kilometres. Those prices aren't super cheap either, but you know what you're up for from day one. And of course, it's a Kia, so you get a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty and 7 years roadside assist. So, there are 2 very distinct driving experiences in the Cerato range. You've got the 2-litre S, which has a normal run-of-the-mill 6-speed automatic. There's no twin clutch nonsense, no CVT nonsense. It's just a normal 6-speed auto. Look, it's not a very powerful car. It's got 112 kilowatts and about 190 something newton meters of torque. It's not a lot. It's a car, it's transport. So the main thing about that car is it's really comfortable. It's got a great suspension tune. It's really easy going. It doesn't ride on huge wheels, especially the base model, which is on 16-inch steelers. It's a really straightforward car. When you start loading people up into it, it's going to slow down. When you put a lot of stuff into it, it's going to slow down. But no more than any other car in the class with that kind of engine. It's good, it's fine, and it's got a nice ride and handling balance. It handles bumps and lumps really well. It's fine over speed bumps. It's really, really comfortable. And that's how it's always been, this 3rd generation Cerato in the 2-litre, just a really comfortable, easygoing car. Then you got to the GT. Now the old one was an absolute teeth clatterer. You hit a bump in that thing and you were picking your teeth up off the ground or, realigning your vertebrae. Chiropractors love that car. It was just really stiff, particularly in the front, and when you hit a transverse ridge or something like that, it was a really big bang. And that was really happening at low speeds, at this kind of speed. And it was just a bit uncomfortable, but as speeds rose, things started to iron out a bit and it got a bit more fun. So Kia took what we said, what you said about that car, and have tweaked the front and rear dampers just to knock the edge off. And that's been largely successful. I think it's a bit more comfortable now and it behaves a lot better on poor surfaces without sacrificing any of the fun that you could have in it. And it is a lot of fun. It's got the 1.6 litre turbo engine in it, 150 kilowatts, plenty of torque, 7-speed twin clutch transmission. It's not going to take on an i30N, but it will stay with the i30N line, which is kind of obvious really because it's got the same engine, but it is a bigger car. It's got a decent set of tyres on it, it's got plenty of grip. The steering, you don't really feel much through the wheel, but it does do what you ask it to do, and it will eventually wash into understeer if you get too ambitious, but that's okay. You are going to have to use the paddles though. They're very nice paddles, but you're going to have to use them. The transmission's not really on board. It's a bit slow to react to your right foot. it's just that 7-speed twin clutch. It's just not a fast or a smooth shifter, and it's a little bit hesitant. But you know, you hit the paddles and everything's fine. The engine is a little laggy, but again, it's no big deal. This car's not out there as a giant killer. It's just a fun, middle-of-the-road hatchback with good suspension and bigger brakes than the standard car. But one of the main differences in this car, apart from the engine and gearbox, is the independent rear suspension. And that does make things better. Even though the ride is still a little bit rough, having that independent rear end, you get a lot more grip out of it, and it does raise the limits of the car, and it just makes it that little bit more kind of, you know, sporty. And that partially explains the hefty price difference between the Sport Plus and the GT. I'm glad it's here because I reckon torsion beams in this car would be pretty rugged. I quite like this car. It's not trying to be anything it isn't. It's a very straightforward proposition that's got plenty of stuff, plenty of gear. The safety stuff in this is really good, particularly up in the higher end of the range. I do think reverse cross traffic alert should be standard across the range on every range of every car ever. It just should be. It's one of those things that are really useful, and it saves a lot of hassle. You know, the kind of accidents that it stops are little ones, but they're annoying ones. And to be able to avoid those is brilliant, and not having it on the lower end of the range and having to pay extra for it, that's annoying. I get why people buy this car. 1,500 of these are sold every month, and that is pretty good going in this SUV ute-mad world. And there wasn't that much to do with this car really without really going to town. So even though it's just a mild facelift, I think it's a really useful one. And with the few $100 on the prices for the 2 litre, the price rise on the GT is a bit hefty. It's about $1,000. That's not bad in this world. And this is a pretty good car. It's always been a good car, as long as you don't expect absolute fireworks from it, but you really shouldn't for the price.